Welcome to the incoming student orientation presentation for the School of Psychological Science. In this presentation, I will describe the undergraduate programs on offer, including our honors program. I'll also describe the units within the undergraduate programs to help distinguish them. Finally, I'll discuss career opportunities as well as postgraduate education opportunities. At UWA, there are 4 options to study psychology at the undergraduate level. You can take individual psychology units, a psychology single major, a specialized degree in psychology, or double degrees. The single major in psychology is named Psychological and Behavioural Science. It is comprised of 10 units, and it is accredited by the Australian Psychological Accreditation Council. If you complete the single major in psychology as part of a 3-year degree, you will be eligible to apply for honors in psychology, which is the continuation of the pathway to potential registration as a psychologist. You can complete the single major in psychology as part of a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. It's your choice. These are known as comprehensive degrees. In addition to the 10 units that form the single major, you must complete an additional 14 units to complete a comprehensive degree. The 14 units can be completed in a variety of disciplines. A comprehensive undergraduate degree is equal to 3 years of full-time study. An important option with completing a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science is that you can complete a second major alongside the accredited Psychological and Behavioral Science major. For example, a student could complete a Bachelor of Arts with a major in Psychological and Behavioral Science and a second major in Marketing or Criminology. As another example, a student could complete a Bachelor of Science with a major in Psychological and Behavioral Science and a second major in Neuroscience. Because the psychology single major can be completed as part of a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, and it is composed of only 10 units, it is flexible with respect to being combined with a second major, which increases career prospects. The specialized degree in psychology is named a Bachelor of Psychology. Within the Bachelor of Psychology, students must complete the extended major in psychology, which is comprised of 14 units. The extended major is accredited by the Australian Psychological Accreditation Council. If you complete the Bachelor of Psychology, you will be eligible to apply for honors in psychology, which is the continuation of the pathway to potential registration as a psychologist. In addition to the 14 units that form the extended major in psychology, you must complete an additional 10 units to complete a Bachelor of Psychology. Again, these 10 units can be in a variety of disciplines. A specialized degree such as the Bachelor of Psychology is equal to 3 years of full-time study. In comparison to comprehensive degrees, specialized degrees are less flexible with respect to the completion of a second major. However, one can potentially complete a minor, which is comprised of 4 units. For example, a minor in sport and exercise physiology. See this website for a list of minors at UWA. In addition to a specialized degree in psychology, students can complete double degrees, such as a Bachelor of Psychology and Bachelor of Commerce, or a Bachelor of Psychology and Bachelor of Arts. To complete a double degree requires the completion of 32 units in total, of which 14 are psychology units, and it takes 4 years of full-time study. The 14 units of psychology correspond to the extended major in psychology, which is accredited by APAC. Therefore, after completing a double degree, students are eligible to apply to honors and continue their pathway to potential registration as a psychologist. Here is the list of 10 units that make up the 10-unit single major that is accredited. The first 2 units are at level 1, Psychology Mind and Brain and Psychology, Behavior, and Context. This is a general introduction to psychology and covers a wide variety of topics in psychology. Students must complete the first year units in order to advance into year 2. Another unit is Introduction to Quantitative Methods in Psychology, which is learning the basics of statistics and analyzing data in order to answer research questions. This unit is also important to take because it's a prerequisite to third-year units. Another second-year unit is Psychology and Social Behavior, learning about how people interact in groups, Psychology Lifespan Development, Cognitive Neuroscience, so more about the relationship between the brain and behavior, Psychological Measurement and its application, so learning how to measure dimensions in psychology, Adult Psychopathology, Cognitive Psychology, the psychology of thinking, and finally Perception and Sensory Neuropsychology. Here are the similarities and differences between the accredited single major and the accredited extended major. First, the two majors are comprised of the 10 units that define the single major. You can see the 10 units here. These are all part of the single major, and each one of these units is included in the extended major here. To complete the extended major, which must be completed as part of the Bachelor of Psychology, students must complete at least one unit from the School of Indigenous Studies, either Aboriginal Encounters or Introduction to Indigenous Heritage and Knowledge. As part of the extended major, students must also complete another additional unit, either Aboriginal Health and Well-Being or Human Biology 1, Becoming Human. Finally, as part of the extended major, students must complete 2 additional psychology units, Industrial and Organizational Psychology and Psychology Specialist Research Topics. Industrial and Organizational Psychology is relevant to the application of psychology in business. Psychology Specialist Research Topics is an opportunity for students to carry out a research project as a group under the supervision of a researcher at UWA. Here are some course planning tips. In your first year of study, you should try to complete both Psychology 1101 and Psychology 1102, as they tend to serve as a prerequisite for units in future years. If you are taking the Bachelor of Psychology, you should also take one of the School of Indigenous Studies units in first year if you can, which would be INDG 1150 or INDG 1160. In your second year, make sure you complete Psychology 2203, which is that Quantitative Methods unit, as it's a prerequisite for all Level 3 units. If you plan to go on exchange, it's recommended that you do so in second year semester 2, because it will have the least amount of implications for you with respect to your continuation and the consideration of prerequisites. The most important tip is, if you have any doubts about your course planning, talk to your course advising office. I'll provide some contact details near the end of this presentation. If you are planning to apply for honors at some stage, here is some information to keep in mind. First, to be eligible, you need an average of at least 65% or more across your Level 3 psychology units. And from 2023, that is, students starting honors in 2023, students will be ranked according to the average of all their Year 2 and Year 3 psychology units, where the Year 3 units are twice weighted. That means your performance in the first year psychology units won't count in the ranking process. For more information and an example of the calculations, consult this webpage. In 2021, the cutoff score for entry into UWA's Psychology Honors Program was 75%, and in 2020, the cutoff score was 74%. I'll note that the School of Psychological Science makes no distinction between the accredited single major and the accredited extended major when it comes to the selection of students for honors. One type of major is not preferred over the other. It's your choice, it will make no difference to the ranking process. The typical study pathway for a psychology student includes first completing a bachelor's degree that includes an accredited sequence of units, either by completing a comprehensive degree, such as a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, or a specialized degree, such as the Bachelor of Psychology. Then a student would complete an honors degree in psychology. Then a student would complete a postgraduate degree, such as a master's degree or a combined master's PhD or a research degree PhD. The completion of a master's degree or a combined master's PhD would potentially lead to a registration as a psychologist. Now, I will note that a student can complete their degree at any stage and then go into the workforce from that point. But in order to become a registered clinical psychologist, the pathway described here would have to be followed. At UWA, there are several postgraduate study options. One, clinical psychology, where you learn the required competencies to become a clinical psychologist. A clinical psychologist often works with people to help assess the psychological difficulties they may be having, as well as apply treatments, such as psychotherapy, for example, to help people overcome their challenges. Another postgraduate program is clinical neuropsychology. This is also an opportunity for pathway to registration. In clinical neuropsychology, you learn the required competencies to become a clinical neuropsychologist. In comparison to a clinical psychologist, a clinical neuropsychologist often works with people who have sustained a head injury, acquired through accident or stroke, for example. A third option is industrial and organizational psychology. Industrial and organizational psychologists work with business to help them select employees, train employees, and assess job performance, for example. All three of the above options would require completion of an honors degree in psychology. There's also the opportunity to complete a Master's of Business Psychology. A program similar to a Master's in IO Psychology, however, it does not lead to registration as a psychologist. Furthermore, the Master's of Business in Psychology does not require the completion of an honors degree. Finally, there is the possibility of completing a research degree such as a PhD. In the PhD, students focus on developing their research skills by completing several studies under the supervision of an academic. Graduates of the research degree, PhD, typically work as researchers for organizations or become academics in a university. Here is a list of example areas of work in which our graduates find themselves, as well as organizations who hire our graduates. For example, some of the types of work include welfare work, child protection, juvenile justice, community correction, disability work, and others. And organizations include Australian Federal Police, Australian Bureau of Statistics, Department of Child Protection and Family Support, and the Department of Health and Aging, and others. At UWA, there is a psychology society known as PsySoc. PsySoc supports undergraduates and postgraduates both academically and socially by organizing activities such as barbecues, information sessions, and evening events, for example. PsySoc gives students opportunities to socialize outside their large classes. You can find more information about PsySoc at the URL included on this slide. Three sources of further information on the material I covered in this presentation can be found at the following URLs: the UWA Handbook. Course structures associated with psychology majors can be found at these URLs. Finally, more information about honors in psychology at UWA can be found at this URL. Thank you.